in terms of influencing studies on marine biology and just recovering ecosystems worldwide in universities. Because basically this was totally denuded of vegetation back in the early 1960s. The whole sort of genesis of this was the cahao back in 1951, which is a bird, it's a nocturnal bird that was thought to be extinct for 350 to 400 years, well actually now about a little over 400 years, and was rediscovered in 1951, 17 nesting pairs, which is pretty critical because when you get down to, they figure about 5 nesting pairs, the genetics are getting too close and you're just going to have any difficulty ever recovering from that, yeah. So basically this island is the last of stand for these birds because they are ground dwellers. And they will dig and burrow in the ground, hence the reason that they kind of dwindled in numbers pretty quickly when the colonial, when people came in and colonized the island. That was back in 1609. By about 1623 really was when they really started to notice a decline of these birds. They literally said there were so many hundreds of thousands of them flying in the air that you could pluck one out of the air. Probably more realistically, I mean, you probably could do that too, but they did tend to land on you. And if you ever, I don't know anybody ever been to the Galapagos Islands? Or no? It's one of my bucket list things, for sure. But on island environments, because of the isolation, you tend to have either dwarfism or gigantism like Galapagos tortoises. But you have a fearlessness as well, too, because there aren't any predators, really, to create that need for that. You have sometimes flightlessness with birds that don't have any wings, really. The kiwi bird in New Zealand is an example of that. But we also have a little tiny bird that's an endemic bird of ours called the white-eyed vireo. Anybody know what the word endemic means? Yeah?
Exclusive to a specific area.
Absolutely. The only place in the world, like lemurs in Madagascar, and all that, that their DNA, I mean, they often are related to something that's on the, on a continental island or continent. You can look at those different kind of aspects of islands and the various ways that they, what we are is an extinct volcano, or to put it simply, a limestone cap on top of an extinct volcano. But basically, they evolve through time and will have different features that the endemic species that really help them to survive on the island with isolation, without any outside help around to survive. Now the skink, which we'll see up at the main building, we'll draw it out with a little bit of cheese, but they developed a carrion feature, much like a vulture, over time, so that they could smell out. I mean, they eat a lot of bugs and insects and things like that, naturally, but if there was anything sort of left over from the birds coming in with fish, especially with the longtails nesting in the rock crevices, and the babies, especially during breeding season, you're going to get a lot of, sometimes even the babies, what goes down comes back up, but the parent is actually regurging into the baby's mouth, so bits and pieces of that fish would be left around, and you often find skinks living in symmetry, or even a sort of a symbiotic relationship with birds, cahows, as well as longtails in the nest, and they are the vacuum cleaners for the nest and keep it nice and tidy. But as a result, they developed a very strong sense of smell, olfactory sense. When we get up to the top, I'll tell you a little fun story about some Oreo cookies, so we'll hold that thought. But they're very much attracted to sweet, high-fatty things. So as man comes along and has Coke bottles and cans and things,